Hey everybody, it's Dan from Fulton Road. I've been away for a while, and to get back, I wanted to talk about weathering a boxcar I've been working on lately. Specifically, I wanted to not only weather this boxcar, but also try my hand at graffiti. So, this is the car that I'm going to be talking about. This is an Athearn 50-foot boxcar. It's marked for ABOX 50031. I found some pictures of the prototype on a couple of websites. You'll see the links to those websites on the screen. And I used those photographs as references to weather this boxcar. And then, let's go over to the workbench, and I'll tell you how I got to this point. To achieve this more golden color, I applied a fade using Americana Saffron Yellow craft paint. And I applied a wash of very, very diluted saffron yellow. I actually applied 3 coats. Before applying any of the craft paint, I coated the entire model with Tamiya flat clear. And then working one side and one end at a time, I went all the way around until I'd finished. The roof I left for last, so I'm not going to talk about this right now. Also, I have finished with the chassis or bottom of the car, the trucks, and the wheel sets. All of this was airbrushed with Tamiya Hull Red. And initially I thought it was going to be too red, but it actually worked out pretty well. So, put that aside. Let's go back here. Once the fade was applied, it tends to cover all of the details. So this car, when I bought it, comes with these patch outs and what would be re-stenciling of the car number and some of the data, and the ghosted out rail box letters, and the ghosted out logo up at the top. This side is more readable. The Nationwide Boxcar Pool. So all of this is ghosted out, as well as these markings, as well as the herald. But when you get it out of the box, there is a contrast between the original color and the parts that are marked out. So after applying the craft paint, I took a toothpick and very carefully exposed these areas. The letters, the patches, the herald, these lettering up here, and these patch outs where the data is here. This is all a method that I have previously described, which was developed by Gary Christensen. Gary is a master at painting, weathering, and applying graffiti. He works in HO scale. He is a major contributor to a forum called the Rust Bucket. The Rust Bucket is a part of the Weathering Shop. The Weathering Shop is a website where Jeremy, I'm going to forget his last name, and I'll put it up on the screen, and Gary and a few other people, they're the ones that got this going. they display their own work and some other artists' work. It's a showcase. The forum is exactly that. It's a forum where they also display their work, but explain how they got there. I first ran into Gary's explanation of how he weathers on the forum, and I've got to say it didn't make sense to me. A few years later, because I tended to wander over to the Model Railroad Hobbyist website, I found that Joe Fugate had recorded a video. It's actually 3 videos with Gary working on a Southern Pacific caboose. And Gary takes you through step by step how he achieves the weathering. That really made the light bulb go on for me in terms of how he did it. There's nothing like watching somebody do it. So once I got the 3 coats on, I took the toothpick, exposed everything that I wanted to expose, and then I began to work on the shading around the doors, around both above and below the tracks for the doors. This is a double door boxcar. And I worked on the dings and scratches. I don't know how well you can see them, but I tried to use a very, very light touch to get those scratches. And one of the things I did not do is Gary's method has you coat each layer of weathering after you apply it so as not to ruin it. I ran across a weathering video by a disciple of Gary's who goes by the name of K-Pack, K-P-A-C-K. He's got a YouTube channel and he weathers a modern locomotive. He does a time lapse, but he doesn't coat between layers. So I tried that, and what I found is if I make a mistake, I can go back and rework it. So once I did the dark colors, it shows that this lettering up here, the Nationwide Boxcar Pool, at least on this side of this car, is not completely faded away. There is still some black in some of the letters. Now, in N scale, that's very difficult to replicate. But using a very fine brush, maybe this one, which is an 18-0 spotter, I took just the smallest amount of black paint and touched it to some of the letters to suggest that some of those letters still had black in them. Remember, rail box cars, the lettering is black. So this is ghosted out lettering, meaning the black paint has faded away. The other thing I did to follow the prototype is the herald, which is blue and red, on the prototype has a almost completely faded out red portion of it. So you hardly see the red. The blue, however, seems to fade to white. So again, what I did is I took a very small amount of diluted white craft paint and tried to follow the blue part of the herald. Not so effective on this side. It's a little better over here. Now, I'm not done with this side, so I will come back to work on this and to apply some of the tags that I see on the prototype. And then the other thing I've done, which you can see here, which is not on the prototype, but which is on another similar boxcar, is it shows, and I'm not sure I like this effect, but it shows that the black on the door is fading out to yellow underneath. So that's why that's there. Again, I may rework that, I'm not sure. On top of that, you see the reddish streaks. Those were made with gouache, which is a water-soluble paint. It's like watercolor, but it's not watercolor. It's different. I didn't use any oils on this car, so this is all done with acrylic craft paint. The roof, again, I followed the prototype for this car, ABOX 50031. I couldn't find any photographs of the roof. However, I was watching a video of some yard operations, and I saw a bunch of cars like this. Not exact, but the roof was a Delray roof, and the ribs that are higher than the rest of the roof had this pattern of fairly uniform. It still showed the aluminum or gray metal, which was unaffected by the rust that was affecting all of the other panels. So using acrylic craft paint, burnt umber, and I believe raw umber, I hand painted in between. I didn't mask anything. And then I applied a little bit of gouache here and there so that you can see some of that reddishness kind of poking through, suggesting that there is still some newer rust going on. Anyway, that's kind of the process. I did use an airbrush to suggest the kick up from the wheels on both ends. Airbrush is too, or at least my airbrush is a little too big for that, and so maybe I should have used a brush. I may change that. That is, to me, a whole red. So that's it. So to finish up this video, which I think is going a little bit too long, I know I didn't explain how I did the graffiti, and also you'll notice that this side looks much brighter than the side with the graffiti. So that was done intentionally. I'll show you a photograph of this side before I applied a fade to make the graffiti look older. Sorry for my voice. So hopefully it doesn't take me as long as it did to get the next video out, but I will work on this side and show you how I do the graffiti on this side. And then I'm thinking of also including a segment in which I fade this TTX car, which is also yellow. This is an ABOX, a much more modern car. These were built in 2012, so they're much newer, but the fade patterns are very, very similar. So I'll at least show you how I do the fade and get the bottom half of the car looking a bit more golden brown like this one. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully you'll stop by again.